I went from being completely broke at 16 to starting a house painting business at 21 and making my first $1 million by age 25, all with less than $500 to my name and the knowledge I'm about to share with you throughout this video. I will literally give you the exact blueprint that took me over 4.5 years to learn in this 10-minute video. So if you can't sit down and watch this video all the way through the end, well, I got some news for you, my friend. You're probably not gonna make it. So save the time and energy and just skip this video. But for those of you that stick around, I got you, and let's change your life forever. So this video will be focused on 4 main key points. Number 1, business structure. How to set up your business legally from license, insurance, bank accounts, etc. Number 2, profits and margins. How much to charge, what gross profits you should be aiming for, what's even the definition of gross profit versus net profit, etc. Number 3, marketing and sales. How are you gonna acquire that first customer, how you gonna market to them, and how are you gonna sell. I'm gonna give you all the sales tips that I learned throughout this 4.5 years, all the struggles that I made whenever I went out to meet new customers, literally everything. And number 4, hire, scale, and repeat. How are you gonna hire your first employee? Is it gonna be a W-2 employee? Is it gonna be a subcontractor? Main differences between the two to pick out which one is best for you and your business starting out, and how are you gonna scale. So let's talk about how to start your painting business legally, from how to set everything up. And I plan on making a more detailed video in the future, so make sure you subscribe for that. But in this specific video, I'm gonna make it brief because I don't wanna make this video 40-50 minutes long. But the first step I always recommend all of my clients, everybody that watches my video, is to pick out a name. Pick out your company name. Make sure you think this thoroughly. Pick something that represents you, so that way in the future you don't have to keep changing it. Because every time you change it, that means you have to go on Google. You have to go to the Secretary of State, change your name. It means you have to change your logo. Clients are not going to recognize you if you got your trucks wrapped, etc. It's a whole mess. So from the get-go, make sure you take your time. You pick out something that you like. Now, once you have your name picked out, then I recommend you go to the Secretary of State. Each state is individually, but I'm sure if you type in Secretary of State in your state, the website will pop up. There, what you're gonna do is you're gonna file for your entity and you're gonna file for your name. So your entity essentially is a LLC, limited liability company. Is it gonna be a small corporation? Is it gonna be a sole proprietorship? I'm not gonna give you any recommendations. Make sure you contact a CPA, a lawyer. That way you can learn the differences between the two. The most popular is LLC because it protects you, your personal assets from your business assets. That's the most popular. I'm not telling you which one to pick. Make sure you do your homework and then you find that out. Now, once you file for the Secretary of State, the next step is to go to the IRS website and file for an EIN number. Essentially, in quick words, this is like a social security number, but for your business. This is what you're gonna use to open up credit cards, what you're gonna use to open up business license of credit, everything within your business itself without anything personal in it. So like I said, it's a social security number, but think about it for your business. After you went to the Secretary of State and you got your IRS, your EIN number, then what you need to do is opening up a business checking account. This is where you're going to deposit all of your checks. This is where you're going to do withdrawals. This is where you're going to pay your employees in the future, etc. Like I said, you want to keep things organized. You don't want to have your personal account combined with your business, because that's going to cause a mess, especially when we go into tax season, and tax season is a couple months away. Now, once you got all of that set up, then we need to make sure that if you need a license or not to perform work in your state. Each state is different. Here in Louisiana, it's a little bit different. I'm not going to go into detail, like I said, because I plan on making a further video in the future, so I don't want to give everything right now. But here in Louisiana, you have a couple of things you have to do. You have to either get a home improvement license or you have to get a contractor license, depending on how much work and the amount that you do. But make sure, like I said, you check out with your state specifically, so that way you don't get in trouble. Once you get your license, if you need, because some states need either a contractor license, some states need a handyman, some of it need a home improvement, like I was mentioned. Once you got your license, then we need to look for insurance. The main thing you need to focus on is general liability, especially if you're just starting out by yourself. If you're going to be the only painter, make sure that you get general liability. This is going to cover you in case something happens to your client's property. You're going to be covered. And trust me, you might think that it's not necessary in the beginning, that nothing is going to happen, but it's always best to have. So make sure you invest into a good insurance that's going to cover you. And if you plan on hiring employees, especially W-2 employees, then you need workers' compensation. This is if something happens to them in the job site while they're working for you on the clock, then that means that you're covered any hospital expenses, God forbid, but you never know. Once you got all of these steps done, the next thing I recommend is to go to your local Sherwin-Williams store and open up a contractor account. This is gonna save you a lot of money in your paying costs, materials, etc. Trust me, I talk to clients all of the time. We get way better discounts depending on how much you plan on spending a year. You're gonna get really great deals compared to homeowner prices. So don't be buying out their paint at $100, $120 a gallon. You're throwing money out the window. Now, these are pretty much the steps I recommend, and now you're pretty much legal to do work in your state. Another thing I want to mention real quick is that whenever you're starting out, don't go overboard when it comes to equipment. Buy whatever you need in the beginning unless you're starting out with a nice $5,000, $10,000 budget. But other than that, if you're starting like me, where I started with less than $500 to my name, I got the basic stuff: a 6-foot ladder, a 4-foot ladder, a couple of drop cloths, some rollers, brushes. That's about it. I didn't buy my paint spray until I got a cabinet job that I needed that paint spray for. Like 4 or 5 jobs before then, it was just with a brush and rolling. And yes, sometimes it's gonna take you more time, but if you don't have the money, then don't invest in it. You don't need an airless spray in the beginning. You don't need extension ladders, or unless that job requires, and that's gonna save you upfront money in case you don't have the budget for it. All right, let's get a little bit into the juicy stuff. Pricing. How much are you gonna charge? Now, I always tell everybody that it depends to your state and your business. From experience, I charge based on the amount of work that it needs to be performed. I don't charge by the square footage. I think that's too nitpicky. Most of the time, you don't need to be that specific, but I know some people that do. Now, we do charge based on the square footage whenever we're doing new construction, which 9 out of 10 times I don't do. I focus mainly on homeowners because that's where the money's to be made. Working for contractors, yes, you're getting steady work, but it's a quantity. You're not making a lot of profits, you're just staying busy. And I came into business to make money, not just to look like I'm busy. So that's why I prefer to work directly with homeowners versus with contractors. But that's a topic for another video. Now, the easiest formula I found that when people ask me all the time, how much should I charge? This is the basic formula, right? So find out how much it's gonna cost you in labor. So if you got employees, how much are you gonna pay them and how long it's gonna take them? Let's say that it costs $500 to perform this job. Then on top of that, you need to add your material costs, your paint, your equipment, whatever you need to buy to perform that job. Let's say that's $200. So we're already at $700, right? $500 in labor, $200 in materials and equipment. And then on top of that, what you want to add is your profits. How much profit do you want to make on a $700 job? Let's say you want to make half of that. You want to make $350, which is what I recommend, 50% gross profit. So let's say you want to make $350 profit. So the total you send to the customer will be $1,050. So $500 in labor plus $200 in materials, that's $700, plus $350 for your profit. That's $1,050. So that's what you send to your customers if everything is done properly and you estimated it correctly, because remember, these are estimates. These are not set prices, because like I said, in any painting job, things will vary. Things will, even in a room, you can look at a room, but some of it might have more holes. The other one might need a baseboard change, etc. There's too many factors. So if everything goes properly, then that means that you made $350 in this, $1,050 project. So just find that out, and that should be the best way for pricing. And I do it based by looking at the job, because I've been doing this for 4.5 years, and I kind of have the idea of that. But I know people that charge by the square footage. Not telling you which one is easier, just find what works for you. Now, when it comes to marketing and sales, this is something that I get asked all of the time. Jorge, what is the best way to acquire new customers? And there's no one way. There's plenty of different ways. And what it does is it creates a snowball effect. You need to be able to market various different ways to where you're bringing in, people, referrals from everywhere. You can't just be relying on one thing. And I get a lot of people that DM me and they're talking about recommendations. They just work based on referrals. And yes, you might have steady work there for a while, but you can't be relying on one source of recommendations, of marketing. It's like relying on one source of income. It's the same thing. If they take away that one source, you're gone. You're out of business. So you need to diversify your marketing the same way you need to diversify your income sources. So I'm gonna give you a couple of them that I use all of the time. Number one being Facebook ads. We make over $500,000 a year in gross revenue by Facebook ads alone, which is huge for our company because I specialize in Facebook ads, which I actually have a strategy that I made, a course for you guys to learn the same strategy. You can apply it to your business and you'll probably see the same results if you apply everything that I teach in that course, which will be linked with the first link in my bio and in the comment section, so that way you can get it. It's super cheap. Another great way, and something that I recommend and took me a while to start, is get your website up and running from day one, if you can, if you get the money for it. If you don't, do like me. It took me 2 years to get my website up and running, and it's been a huge help, because the longer you have your website, that means the longer Google knows it exists and the more it gets promoted to the top. So you need to have your website up and running as fast as possible, so that way you can get that credibility with Google. Also, make sure that you create a Google business profile. This means that whenever people type in your company on Google, it pops up. It doesn't matter if you don't have any reviews, if you don't have a Google website, it doesn't matter. You just make sure that you register with Google, so that way they know you're a business, and then you start creating that credibility again. Another good way is Nextdoor app. Nextdoor is locally, but I also have a strategy that I use to go broad into all neighborhoods. I've gotten hundreds of thousands of views and likes in my posts because of the strategy that I use. But if you're interested in that, comment down below and I'll send it to you for free. Another good way is social media. We're in 2024. If you're not utilizing social media to its maximum, you're missing out. I've seen a lot of businesses that get business from TikTok, Instagram, Reels, and there's many different ways. How are you networking? Are you meeting everybody and you presenting yourself? You're shaking hands, you're meeting people, you're saying, hey, I'm Jorge, I own such and such company. We're just starting out. It'll be a pleasure if you recommend us any work. Here's my business card. Make sure that you get some business cards, professional business card from the get-go. I got mine from Vistaprint in the beginning. I also got a truck magnet sign, just a magnet sign with my company name, what we did, house painting, my phone number. That's it. Just stick it to your truck. People will see it. Eventually you will get calls. This is just in less than a minute. I gave you 7, 8 different ways to market your business, and there's plenty more. Referrals, go to realtor offices, go to insurance brokers, go present yourself, give them business cards, tell them that you do commission if they refer you any work. This work wonder, people, trust me, it works great. And now when it comes to sales, there's many different factors that you got to account for, so that way you can be as premium, as best as possible. Number one, how do you dress? Are you shaved? Are you clean? Do you have a company logo on? Do you have some dress pants? Do you have some nice shoes? These are all things people take into consideration when they get multiple estimates. Who did they like more? Remember, people buy from people that they like and people that they trust. So you got to be likable and you got to be trustful. And how do you do that? From the first impression. People judge you like a book from the first impression, and they might be right, they might be wrong, but they don't care. If you look all dirty, all snappy, that you just woke up, they're not gonna take you serious. And whenever you go out and meet clients and you own a professional company, you need to look professional, you need to look clean, you need to expand on that message that you try to provide, so that way they can hire you. Make sure that your car, your truck is clean. Make sure, like I said, you got magnets if you can't afford truck wrap. I'm more into not wrapping your truck, but that's a different scenario. But make sure that you're looking as professional as possible, that you speak eloquently, that you treat people with respect. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We will handle that for you. Explain how you would do the service. Ask them what their motive to buy is. Everybody has a reason that they buy. Don't think that people paint their houses because they want to paint their houses. No, they might paint their houses because it's been 10 years and they might have a rod on fascia board. Focus on that. Dig into that. Or they might be doing a wedding next month and they need their house cleaned. They need their house painted. Maybe they're doing a graduation. Find all that and make sure that you dig in there. If they like pets, make sure that you like pets and make sure that you pet them. Talk about the pet, get personal. This will all stand you from the competition. That should be your main goal. So before going into the next topic, let's talk a little bit about what's gross profit and what should you aim for versus what's net profit. So whenever you start a company, you have overhead. Overhead are all the expenses that you need to pay monthly to be able to keep your lights on. This could vary. In the painting industry, it's really good because you don't have a lot of overhead. Maybe you need to get a storage room to store all of your equipment. That might be $100, $150 a month. That's part of your overhead. Maybe you need to gas to go give out estimates. That's part of your overhead. Your license, your insurance, these are all costs related to staying in business. And then whenever you charge for a job, that means that you need to, account for that. That's where your profits come in. Don't think that you're charging customers just to become rich. No, you need to charge them to make profits so that way you can stay afloat. That way you can reinvest into the business. That way you can buy better equipment, hire better people, invest in marketing. Every business out there is making money. It just depends how much are they charging, how much money are they making, and how are they reinvesting it to grow. So don't feel bad that you're charging your customer $10,000 and you're making $5,000 profit. That's good. You need to stay afloat. You need to reinvest. They hired you. You're bringing value to them. You're painting their houses, you pressure washer, whatever you're doing, you're bringing value to them. And that's how you should sell yourself. Now, let's say you charge this customer $10,000 and you made $5,000 gross profit. So that gross profit accounts for everything that I mentioned earlier, your gas, insurance, licenses, storage, if you got office, everything. And then once you subtract all of those expenses from that $5,000, then that gives you your net profit. And you can do with that whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you how to run your money, how to run your finances, but that is your total revenue, your total profits. That's how much you made, 100% profit. That's yours 100% if you wanted it to. Not saying it is, but that's what you want. So that's the difference between gross profit and net profit. Gross profit, you need to subtract all of your expenses. Net profit is once you subtracted everything, that's your total money that you made for that specific job. You can take home, you can reinvest, you can put it into a savings account, whatever you want. I just wanted to make that clear for you guys in case you had any questions. Now, let's talk about how to hire and scale your business. So the first thing, your first hire is going to be the most important. You need to train them as you're training yourself, so that way they can eventually replace you in the future, so that way you can do multiple things. Because when I started my painting business back in 2020, I was doing it all. From the sales, from the marketing, from the estimates, the job in person. I was working literally like 12 to 16 hours daily. But that's what's required to start a business. If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to grind, then the business is not for you. Just working 9 to 5, nothing wrong with that. Just business takes a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, a lot of resilience. Because I remember when I started, I had a storage unit because I lived in an apartment, right? So I had a storage unit. I had to wake up every single day at 6 a.m., go to that storage, pick up all of the equipment I needed, load that into the truck, head out to Sherwin-Williams, pick up the paint that I needed to be at the job site for 8. We started working from 8 to 5 p.m. Then go back to the storage, drop everything off because like I said, I lived in an apartment, so I wasn't gonna leave sprayers, pressure washers, ladders, nothing like that in the truck of my bed, in the bed of my truck, I'm sorry. So I had to leave that on the storage. And then sometimes I had to go to Home Depot, pick up maybe a nail gun, whatever I needed for that specific job, maybe more material for the next job. Sometimes I had estimates at 6, 7, 8 p.m. in the afternoon, so that way I can sell more jobs, because if I'm not giving out estimates, I'm not closing jobs. And that would be repeated like that, weeks upon weeks upon weeks. It took me about 2 years. And that's why I made this channel, because I want to make it as fast for you guys to get off the truck and into the business. There's a huge difference from running a business to having a business. You need to be able to have it to where it runs almost on autopilot, which that's what my business does right now. And that's how we generate over $1 million in revenue a year with just a few painters. So hiring that first employee is going to be critical to the success of your business. You may be asking, well, Jorge, how do I find them? Where do I find them? Well, you can either go on Facebook, maybe contact some friends and family. That will be your safest bet. Just make sure someone in your circle that might need, a side hustle, something that they want to make money. Maybe they like painting. Maybe they want to start a business in the future, whatever. Maybe go into LinkedIn and find some painters. Just make sure that you're posting, make sure that you're letting people know. And then what you're gonna do is, once you get all of the key components, which I tell everybody that marketing should be your #1 focus on any business, so that way you can attract clients, that way you can make sales. Sales being number 2. Once you acquire that customer, or they're calling in regards to your business, you can sell to them. And then customer relationships is the 3rd main key point of running any successful business. Marketing, sales, and customer relationships will scale any business to the moon. So if you found some value out of this video, do me a favor and hit that like button so more people can find it. Subscribe for future content and watch this video next, because trust me, you're not going to want to miss.